Blood Crow's campaign progress. Days elapsed, 187 days. Unit reputation, proven. Financial status, poor. Bankruptcy, imminent. Financial balance, 94.5 war chest points. Monthly upkeep, 105 war chest points. Staff roster, Commander Diana, Raven. MechWarriors, Talia, Hammer. Nova, Bullet. And Kieran, Cold Iron. Support staff, 2 mech techs and 1 medical staff. Mech Bay, Griffin, status ready. Hunchback, status ready. And Wasp, status ready. Pre-dawn bled slowly across the Kessel Reach industrial corridor. The sky split by distant lightning that strobed the ruins in cold white flashes. Rain hadn't started yet, but the air was heavy, charged, every exposed cable humming as the electrical storm rolled in overhead. The Lost Tech heavy mech stood locked into a mobile field gantry at the center of the interchange, its armor scarred and mismatched, reactor idling under strict containment. Power umbilicals snaked across the cracked asphalt, feeding stabilization systems jury-rigged from salvage and desperation. No weapons were online, no movement possible, just a relic standing naked in the open. Technical readout. Mission type, flashpoint. Defend duration, 3 days difficulty, 3 skulls. Reputation, 6 and below, suitable for proven status and below. Drop limit, 250 tons. Win/loss conditions. Player wins if the designated mech survives to turn 8 or OPFOR is eliminated. OPFOR wins if designated mech is destroyed or control zone is secured. At least 1 OPFOR unit is adjacent to target for 2 consecutive turns. OPFOR reinforcement on 1d6 roll from turn 4 on the listed triggers. On roll of 4 to 6, both reinforcement units will commence movement in next turn. Mission briefing, Operation Veilbreaker. Mission type, Flashpoint Defend, threat level moderate. Location, Kessel Reach Industrial Corridor. New Worlds League, Periphery Fringe. Deployment time, 0430 hours, pre-dawn. Weather. Localized electrical storm is expected. Moderate interference with electronic weaponry expected. Units to be advised. Intel suggests moderate hostile activity. Commander unit of heavy mech is expected. Hostile reinforcement possible. Mission objectives. Primary. Defend designate mech till the arrival of friendly recovery team. Secondary. Avoid head or critical damage to designated mech. Ally support, Orion heavy mech. OPFOR, Grasshopper heavy mech. Possible commander unit, Enforcer, medium mech sniper support. Centurion, medium mech close range support in Trebuchet, medium mech. Missile support. Limited intel on hostile reinforcement. Threat is assessed to be moderate. Blood Crows starting deployment. Bay 1, Commander Raven Griffin, medium mech. Bay 2, MechWarrior Cold Iron Hunchback, medium mech. Bay 3, MechWarrior Hammer Wasp, light mech. Bay 4, Ally Support Orion, heavy mech. OPFOR Kestrel Veal, main, starting deployment. Bay 1, Commander. Grasshopper, heavy mech. Bay 2, MechWarrior. Enforcer, medium mech. Bay 3, MechWarrior. Centurion, medium mech. Bay 4, MechWarrior. Trebuchet, medium mech. OPFOR reinforcements. Bay 1, MechWarrior. Vindicator, medium mech. Bay 2, MechWarrior. Hermes, light mech. Raven keyed the external cams, watching lightning crawl along the elevated highway spans. Storm's right on schedule, she said over Lance comms. Sensor noise is spiking already. Hammer whistled softly. So anyone coming in close won't show until they're almost on top of us. That's the point, Raven replied. The employer's Orion loomed nearby, its silhouette half lost in shadow beneath the overpass. Engine hot, weapons live, standing guard like a hired executioner that hadn't yet been paid to pull the trigger. The message from the employer had been blunt. If Merrick can't claim it, they'll erase it. The Free Worlds League couldn't afford for this machine to exist. Not intact, not studied, not traced back to the decisions that buried it decades ago. Destruction was cleaner than denial. Fire erased questions. Raven zoomed in on the gantry clamps, then the surrounding streets. They won't rush it, she said quietly. They'll try to burn it from range, or cripple us and let the storm finish the job. Cold Iron's voice came in low and steady. And we don't give them the time. Lightning cracked again, closer now, close enough that the mech's armor briefly glowed white before falling back into shadow. Raven took a breath and opened the lance channel. Blood crows, this isn't salvage. This isn't a raid. We hold this ground until extraction, or until there's nothing left standing but us. Somewhere beyond the ruined skyline, unseen engines were already moving. And the storm was just getting started. Opt for deployment. Each opt for unit to roll 1d6 to determine starting location, waypoint Alpha or Bravo. Similarly, for reinforcement deployment, apply 1d6 roll, waypoints Charlie, Delta, or Exo. Turn 1, initiative opt for. The first warning came as static hissed across the lance channel. Multiple pings approaching from the east, Hammer reported, her tone tightening. Contacts are spread out. This isn't a standard advance. Merrick Lance is splitting up. Raven's Griffin lifted on roaring jump jets, clearing the street in a single bound and landing atop a low industrial building. From the rooftop, the battlefield resolved itself into sharp sensor returns and hard geometry. Roads threading between concrete blocks, woods encroaching on the town edge. And the objective, the Wolverine mech, stationary within the protective bubble formed by the blood crows. Her sensors locked first onto a Centurion, advancing cautiously from the southeast. Its movement was measured, deliberate, probing rather than rushing. Confirmed hostile Centurion, Raven said, marking. The first enemy unit, the Centurion, approached cautiously from the southeastern edge of Raven's sensors. Behind it, a heavier signature pushed forward. The Orion, shifting toward the eastern approach, positioning to counter any attempt by the Blood Crows to reinforce the Wolverine directly. Then the pattern became clear. A trebuchet ghosted into the southern woods, pacing the Centurion's advance, missile racks already angled toward the town. Cold Iron drove his hunchback forward at speed, the AC-20's bulk swaying with each pounding step as he tried to force the engagement early. This isn't random, Raven muttered. Her threat display tightened further as a heavy signature contact strode onto the field from the northeast. The enemy commander, a grasshopper, heavy, jump-capable, and moving with unmistakable purpose, angled straight toward the cluster of buildings shielding the Wolverine. Kestrel Vale, Raven said over open comms. Raid configuration? Hammer didn't hesitate. Her Wasp leapt skyward, landing on a rooftop to Raven's left, keeping the grasshopper in sight. Careful, Hammer, Raven warned. Commander's in a grasshopper. Heavy raider. Roger that, Commander, Hammer replied. An enforcer entered alongside the grasshopper, staying close, screening, guarding, never straying far from the commander's path. The intent was obvious. Kestrel Vale wasn't here to seize ground. They were here to erase the Wolverine. Turn 1, battle damage summary. At the end of Turn 1, no firing took place. Turn 2, initiative Blood Crows. The grasshopper surged ahead, balanced and confident, closing on the buildings shielding the Wolverine. Its torso twisted slightly as its sensors tracked Hammer's Wasp. With the raiders splitting their approach, Raven understood the real clock she was fighting. If the Wolverine fell before extraction, the contract was lost. Listen up, Raven said over the Lance channel, voice steady but hard. We're not winning this by destroying Kestrel Vale. We hold them, long enough for the recovery force to get in and pull the Wolverine out. Every second counts. Orion, push up, she continued. Engage the grasshopper. Hammer, Cold Iron, fire support. The allied Orion advanced cautiously, setting itself where it could intercept the commander or blunt the southeastern thrust. The Centurion slid deeper into the woods after spotting the Orion, keeping the Wolverine within long-range engagement envelopes. Cold Iron veered south, attempting to flank the wooded approach while maintaining standoff distance. The Enforcer mirrored its commander again, taking cover behind a building, denying angles. Raven dropped from her rooftop into the nearby woods, Griffin landing hard as she brought her PPC to bear. The trebuchet held position, readying the missile's firing solutions. Hammer jumped down beside her, placing the Wasp forward, between the Grasshopper and the Wolverine. The Grasshopper fired first, large laser and LRM-5 streaking toward Hammer, but the Wasp vanished into cover untouched. The Orion answered, AC/10 and LRMs ripping into the woods around the Centurion, missing by meters. The Centurion returned fire. Miss? Then the trebuchet spoke. A full LRM salvo arced overhead and slammed into Cold Iron's hunchback, 24 impacts detonating across armor and structure. The cockpit rang like a bell. Cold Iron stayed upright, barely. Kestrel Vale was stripping away interference, methodically. Turn 2, battle damage summary. At the end of Turn 2, the Hunchback took multiple missiles damage on its center torso, right leg, left torso, left arm, right torso, and head. The impact also caused light injury to Cold Iron. Turn 3 brought initiative, Blood Crows. The Grasshopper jumped, landing between two buildings near the objective. Its rear shielded, its front squarely toward the Wolverine. Hammer made a risky call, jumping onto the rooftop the Grasshopper used for cover, placing herself dangerously close. The trebuchet shifted deeper into the woods, both objective and Wolverine now comfortably within missile range. Cold Iron pressed forward toward the trebuchet, AC-20 round chambered. The Centurion leapfrogged into new cover, aligning its fire lanes on the Wolverine. Raven held position, sniping posture steady. The Enforcer jumped in beside its commander, covering the commander right flank. The Orion locked down its position, weapons ready to fire. At point-blank range, the Grasshopper fired both arm-mounted medium lasers at Hammer. Missed. Hammer returned fire. Only one missile struck the Grasshopper's right leg. She declined the kick. One mistake would be fatal. The Centurion fired long-range missiles at the Wolverine, missing, but the message was clear. Cold Iron fired at the trebuchet, missed. The trebuchet redirected fire, not at Cold Iron, but at the objective. 9 missiles struck home. Raven fired PPC and LRMs at the Enforcer, missed. The Enforcer fired back, wood shredded, armor untouched. The Orion finally found its mark, LRMs slamming into the Centurion's torso and arm. Turn 3, battle damage summary. At the end of Turn 3, the Grasshopper took a hit on its right leg. The objective, the Wolverine mech, took light damage to its right arm, left and right leg. The Centurion took hits on its right arm, left and right torso. Turn 4, initiative, Blood Crows. The Enforcer peeled off from the Grasshopper, advancing cautiously into the tree lines. Raven jumped back onto her rooftop perch for better vantage point. The Centurion approached the blocks, facing the Orion and closing on the Wolverine. The Orion repositioned itself in the path of the Centurion, attempting to shield the protection unit. Under pressure from Cold Iron Hunchback, the trebuchet broke from the woods in an attempt to keep its distance from the AC-20 range. Cold Iron pivoted hard and chased, the trebuchet's rear armor square in his sights. The Grasshopper ran down the road, charging toward the objective. Seizing the opportunity, Hammer jumped behind the command unit. The Enforcer fired at the Hunchback, missed. Cold Iron fired again. One medium laser burned through the trebuchet's left torso, exposing internals. Then disaster. The Grasshopper Alpha struck Raven's Griffin. A single medium laser punched through the right torso, detonating the LRM ammo. The explosion tore the Griffin open. Raven kept the mech upright, forced withdrawal. Hammer fired back, missed. The Centurion hammered the objective. The Orion missed. The trebuchet fired at Raven. Missed. Turn 4, battle damage summary. At the end of Turn 4, trebuchet took damage to its rear torso armor, exposing its internals. The Griffin took an internal hit onto right torso, causing an ammo explosion, destroying its right torso, right arm, and severely damaging the center torso internals. The Griffin mech is now crippled and into forced withdrawal. Turn 5, Initiative, Op 4. Raven in withdrawal, jumped backward, placing its more armored left facing the enemies. The Centurion abandoned the trebuchet and ran towards the Wolverine, and out of the Hunchback AC-20 range. The Orion moved forward, covering Raven's retreat. The Enforcer took an aggressive stance, moving towards the woods and setting its sights on the crippled Griffin. Cold Iron moved the Hunchback up toward the trebuchet rear again, trying to line up another shot. The Grasshopper continued its approach towards the objective. Hammer repositioned the Wasp to the trebuchet rear, combining firepower to bring it down. The Centurion ran forward, closing the distance to the Wolverine while keeping distance from the Hunchback's AC-20. With the Griffin crippled and missing all its weapons, Raven skipped firing. The Enforcer fired at Raven, but misses. Hammer Alpha Strike at the trebuchet rear. Only 2 SRM missiles hit. One missile hit the left torso internals, but nothing breaks while the other struck the head, wounding the pilot. In frustration, Hammer's Wasp kicked the trebuchet on the left leg, but the mech remained standing. The Grasshopper fired at the objective. Surprisingly, both the large laser and LRM missed. Cold Iron also fired at the trebuchet rear. This time, all the shots hit. The lasers hit the mech on the left leg and rear center torso, while the AC-20 hits the left torso, blowing off the torso and left arm, and further damage the center torso. The mech now is crippled and into forced withdrawal mode. The pilot managed to keep the mech steady. At the same time, the trebuchet fired both LRMs at the Wolverine, with a total of 15 missiles hitting the mech on the right arm, right leg, and left torso. The Orion fired everything except for the LRM, with only 1 laser and 3 missiles hitting the trebuchet on the right arm, center torso, and left leg. The Centurion took aim and fired at the Wolverine. Everything hits and damaging the right leg into the internals, breaking the lower leg actuator, left leg, left arm, and its internals. Turn 5, Battle Damage Summary. At the end of Turn 5, the trebuchet took damage to its left torso, blowing off the torso and destroying the left arm internals, and further damaged the right arm, center torso, and left leg. The mech is now crippled and into forced withdrawal mode. The pilot was also wounded from the headshot. The Wolverine objective took damage on the right leg into the internals, breaking the lower leg actuator, left leg, left arm, and its internals. Turn 6, Initiative, Op 4. The Blood Crow's sensors picked up additional pings, indicating enemy reinforcements are approaching the battlefield. Raven jumped further west, taking cover behind a building while moving towards extraction. The Centurion moved closer to the Wolverine, with the control zone close within reach. The Orion moved backwards to meet the Centurion, attempting to defend both the crippled Griffin and the Wolverine. The crippled trebuchet, also in forced withdrawal mode, retreated backwards. Hammer jumped and repositioned the Wasp behind the trebuchet rear again, bent on putting the mech out of action. The Grasshopper ran down south towards the Wolverine, joining to support the Centurion. Cold Iron shifted his focus on the enemy's commander, positioning the Hunchback onto its right flank. The Enforcer jumped forward to enter the action. Hammer fired into the trebuchet rear, both the laser and 2 missiles hitting the right torso and center torso. The Centurion Alpha Strike at the Wolverine, everything except 1 laser hits, destroying the left arm and right leg, damaging the left and center torso. With the leg destroyed, the mech fell and further damaging its left leg. Cold Iron fired at the Grasshopper but misses. The trebuchet fires its single LRM at the Wolverine but misses. The Orion fires at trebuchet with its AC-10 and LRM and hits. 9 missiles struck the right arm, right torso, center torso, and the AC round impacted on the damaged right arm, shredding the remaining armor and damaging its internals, destroying the LRM and causing an ammo exploding, destroying the arm and further damaging the right torso internals, but nothing breaks. The mech has lost all active weapons. The Grasshopper fired at the Wolverine, Alpha striking it as well. Only the large laser and 3 missiles hits, stripping all the right arm armor and right torso. The Griffin skipped firing, and the Enforcer fired at the Wolverine at long range, but misses. Turn 6. Battle damage summary. At the end of turn 6, the Trebuchet took damage to its right arm, causing an ammo explosion, destroying the arm, and damage to the right and center torso, as well as the right torso internals. The Wolverine continued to take damage to the left arm and right leg, resulting in both parts being destroyed, and further damage to the left leg, right arm, and to its torso. The Wolverine fell and took additional damaging its left leg. Turn 7. Initiative Blood Crows. Op 4 reinforcement detected from the western and southern edge. The Centurion ran up next to the fallen Wolverine, occupying the control zone. Raven continued with the withdrawal, jumping westward. The crippled and withdrawing Trebuchet continued towards the eastern edge of the battlefield. Hammer continued to chase after the crippled Trebuchet. The Grasshopper skirted around the building, moving closer to the Wolverine. The Vindicator reinforcement entered via the northwest edge, attempting to intercept Raven's withdrawal. Just like Hammer Wasp, Cold Iron's Hunchback chased after the Grasshopper. The Enforcer jumped onto the nearest building rooftop, taking a sniping position and placing the Wolverine in sight. The second reinforcement, the Hermes, entered via the south and positioned behind the Hunchback rear. Facing enemies from all sides, the Orion moved back next to the building for cover and making a last stand to defend the Wolverine. Centurion Alpha strike again at the Wolverine, less the LRM. Every shot hitting the right arm, destroying the arm, and damaging the right torso. Cold Iron fired at the Grasshopper. Only the autocannon hit, damaging the right arm. In return, the Grasshopper continued to focus on the Wolverine, firing everything into it. Only one medium laser hit the right torso. The Vindicator fired the PPC and LRM at the Orion's rear, with 3 missiles hitting the right arm, right leg, and right torso. The Enforcer took aim and fired at the Wolverine, but missed. Hammer fired at the Trebuchet rear. Everything shot hit, causing damage the right torso, center torso, and the internals, damaging the fusion engine. The remaining shots hit the left leg. The Hermes fired at the Hunchback rear, but missed. The Orion fired at the Centurion with everything except for one medium laser, and missed. Completely surrounded, with the Wolverine severely damaged, just as the Raven is about to call in the extraction and withdrew from the mission, multiple flares lighted up the purple skies. The Blood Crows received a broadcast on open channel stating that the provincial detachment is now enforcing strict quarantine on the town and all hostilities must cease. Several Lance's signatures were detected on the sensors, indicating that the security force are finally here, moving in with the recovery team. Seeing that the situation has swung to the defenders' favor, the Merrick forces started their withdrawal. The Blood Crows managed to secure their payday by a hair, and for Raven, the Lady Luck might not be smiling on her the next time an ammo explosion occurs. Turn 7, Battle Damage Summary. At the end of Turn 7, the Wolverine took damage to the right arm, destroying the arm, and damage to right torso. The Grasshopper took damage to its right arm. The Orion took damage to the right arm, right leg, and right torso. The Trebuchet took further damage to the right torso, center torso, and its internals, damaging the fusion engine and left leg. Mission Debrief. Mission Outcome. Mission Success. Primary Objective met. Target mech secured. Secondary Objective not met. Target mech sustained critical damages. Contract payout confirmed with no bonus. Turns taken 7. Mission kills nil. No salvage allocated. 1 MechWarrior injury detected. Cold Iron received light head injury. Medical treatment recommended. Friendly mechs sustained heavy and light damages. Parts and armor replacements required. Post-battle summary report. Contract payout, 140 war chest points. Salvage payout, capped at 20%. O salvage allocated. Total payout, 140 war chest points. Repair costs for 2 damaged mechs, 70 war chest points. Pilot's medical recovery, 3 days for fatigue. Cold Iron warded 6 days for head injury. Medical recovery costs, 10 war chest points. Net payout, positive 70 war chest points. Fund transferred into Blood Crow's account. Experience gain per pilot, 3 XP gain for mission victory. Blood Crow's reputation gained. Nil, level maintained as proven. Reputation 6, rating 3 stars. The fighting ended not with surrender, but with authority. Provincial recovery assets descended hours after Kestrel Vale disengaged, their transponders broadcasting stabilization codes under Free Worlds League registry. No pursuit was ordered. No questions were asked. The priority was containment. The Wolverine lay crippled but intact. That alone changed everything. As its internal systems cascaded toward failure, an emergency protocol triggered, one never intended for battlefield awareness. Raven intercepted the transmission unintentionally. A brief, compressed data burst writing a narrow handshake pulse, difficult to jam and immediately self-locking upon receipt. She did not attempt to access it. The encryption architecture was unfamiliar, layered and aggressive, not designed to protect information, but to prevent it from being taken back once released. By morning, the engagement had already been reclassified. Official reports reduced the battle to a localized mercenary incident. No unit names, no political attribution. The area was placed under a temporary exclusion order while recovery operations proceeded. A follow-on contract arrived through a neutral broker. Defensive in nature, time-limited, same region. Thank you for your support and interest in the Blood Crows project. I hope you're enjoying the videos and the story-driven battle report format. You can help the community grow by subscribing to the channel and sharing the videos and stories from the Blood Crows campaign. Your support and engagement are the biggest motivation to keep this project moving forward. You're also welcome to join and support the Blood Crows Facebook community group, where more frequent and up-to-date battle reports are shared. Finally, your likes, comments, and suggestions are always appreciated and help shape future content. A Blood Crows production,